Avatar, the movie that cost the equivalent of a space station and yet somehow ended up using the fucking papyrus font. It made millions of depressed middle-aged uncles question their views on society and nature and the whole point of their lives. People wanted to leave the life server because their personas will never be real. And then all media became the same shitty movie and the world started ending in 2016. And somehow it made everyone mysteriously delete this movie from their brain. So I thought that I probably just forgot about it because it was dumb. And my god, it is dumb, but that does not make it bad. Join me on the Brave Cat Mujahideen warriors in exploring this anti-imperialist call to action wearing a sci-fi CGI fursuit. Okay, but first, a recap. It's the future and Cybertruck 2077 became real and everything sucks now. When his twin brother is killed by a robber, paraplegic marine Jake Sully decides to take his place on a mission on the distant world of Pandora. There we meet Beth Bezos, who wants to chase away the sexy aliens who refuse to subscribe to Amazon Prime. In exchange for helping the military help Beth Bezos coup Bolivia for their lithium. Remove the aliens from the massive tree they live in, which again is on top of all the rare earth minerals. They will give Jake the greatest treasure an American can dream of: normal healthcare. Now, the reason they shot a paraplegic into space in the first place is because his brother was in the Avatar program, where they can make your persona real and you can control it while sleeping, so you can breathe the air on Pandora and hang out with the space Indians. Since Jake shares identical DNA with his brother, he can take his persona. Now, when Jake returns to Monkey, he joins the science nerds to do nerd stuff and accidentally gets lost in the majestic wildlife before he is saved by Princess Pocahontas. Then it's dances with wolves for a while as Jake begins to bond with the native tribe and quickly falls in love with the princess. However, he also spies on the illegal aliens for military daddy Uncle Sam, who will give Jake these fancy new things called
real legs.
Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren thinks Jake should not do what Uncle Sam wants, but also not change the status quo in any meaningful way. That's when Uncle Sam finds Jake's Twitch stream and goes poggers in chat when Jake says the aliens will never subscribe to Amazon Prime. Beth Bezos will never get those delicious rare earth minerals under the aliens' big tree. After canceling Jake, Uncle Sam sees this as a sign to go liberate them from their lives with missiles. Jake then desperately tries to warn his alien family that Beth is coming in his big dumb blimp to 9/11 the World Trade Center. They don't believe him and hate him for being a spy, and shit goes down real bad.
Hell yes.
Meanwhile, the nerds and Jake escape with the help of the same role Michelle Rodriguez always plays. Unfortunately, Rowan gets sniped with a handgun. Then everything is sad for a minute. But when all seems lost, Jake brings back the big bird and everyone loves it. They tried to upload Elizabeth Warren's soul into her persona to save her life, but the nature god Wi-Fi isn't strong enough. The humans get so scared, and since men would rather commit genocide than go to therapy, they decide to carpet bomb the furry's landline to God.
Hey, Vsauce, do you want to be infected with Ebola?
The nerd becomes radicalized, and Jake leads an army of insurgents against the evil empire. Then the biggest, dopest battle ensues, where mechs battle massive, moist panthers. Nerd guy goes jihad, natives throw marines out of helicopters, and Michelle Rodriguez explodes. But in the end, Jake Sully, with the help of God summoning rhinos and his anime cat girlfriend, kills America and sends Amazon home to be consumed by the Belt and Road Initiative. And also, Jake becomes a cat boy permanently. The end. So hey, yeah, that's a nice story and all, but why did it make so many uncles go insane? I think it's because it made them realize how alienated they are.
I am going to commit suicide.
Alienation is a lack of self-worth, the absence of meaning in one's life. You're a cog in the machine, a rat in a cage, a brick in the wall. You know what I mean, it's been done to death. While many other works excellently showcase the dread and horror of alienation, Avatar rather displays it in the lack of alienation. Look at Jake Sully. So boring he looks like the template in a character creator. And he pretty much is. He's a US Marine who lost his legs. And also his twin brother died. That's it. That's his entire character. Everything else is just stock dialogue from Marines in video games or movies. Like some kind of Black Rifle coffee loser. This goes for most of the military faction in this movie.
This ain't your gay liberal cappuccino drinking dad's Pandora.
And oh boy, if there's two things James Cameron hates, it's cops and troops.
Police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad cause I'm brown. And not the other colors so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Fuck that
The most we get out of Jake Sully before his ascension to a real person is glimpses of his life on Earth, which fucking sucks. Also, his legs are kind of brilliant. Despite being fucked, they still play two important roles. First of all, they say something about the world we're in, mainly because why the fuck doesn't someone just fix them? It's the 22nd century. You can link your brain to an alien. Printing out some dude legs should be as easy as rotating a PDF. They explain very quickly that they could easily fix his legs. You just need some money, more than you get on a measly GI Bill. Wow, what a crazy science fiction world. So many sci-fi movies just kind of assume that since we reached levels of wealth we previously couldn't imagine, humanity would just solve their problems of inequality. Just somehow. But we've already lived under capitalism for hundreds of years now, and not all that much has changed. Yeah, living standards have gone through the roof in the imperial core, but we've basically shipped all hard labor out of sight and out of mind. But it's still there, growing, waiting. Capitalism is about taking all the resources into as few hands as possible and then crashing the economy. It's a feature, not a bug. That would necessarily change just because it's the future. And back to the matter at hand here. Foot observation number 2. How did Jake mess up his legs? Fighting in Venezuela. The Marine boss later talks about fighting in Nigeria. Oh, I sure wonder what those places have in common. Jake Sully is fighting in places he doesn't really know against people he doesn't really apprehend for reasons he can't really understand. But he has already put his personality entirely into being a Marine. I think maybe that by having this fucking dumbass open his mind to new things, the movie showed some boomers and Gen Xers that a different world than the one they suffer through is possible. I think that for just a tiny little second, a glimpse of class consciousness crashed through the years and years of programming from American media, and people all over the world stood up in the cinema as massive, beautiful furries beat the absolute shit out of the troops. Changing your perspective can be both mind-numbingly beautiful and painful. Slavoj Žižek,
I hate life.
a Slovenian raccoon living in a trash can behind a library before being transformed into a half-man, half-sinus super being by a communist wizard, has a movie where he talks about movies, which is fucking brilliant. One of the films he touches on is They Live, in which a homeless drifter finds some sunglasses which show the true nature of things.
To step out of ideology, it hurts. It's a painful experience. You must force yourself to do it. John Nada tries to force his best friend, John Armitage, to also put the glasses on.
I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you. Stop it. No!
And it's the weirdest scene in the film. The fight takes 8-9 minutes.
Put on the glasses.
It may appear irrational, because why does this guy reject so violently to put the glasses on? It is as if he is well aware that spontaneously he lives in a lie, that the glasses will make him see the truth, but that this truth can be painful, can shatter many of your illusions.
So James Cameron, instead of forcing you to put on the glasses, tricked you into putting them on by putting them in stupid sci-fi action Pocahontas. So by now you get that my internet-rotted brain think of the central characters of this movie as a microcosm of US interventionist policy. And here we have the chud, the lib, and the dumbass. The chud is annoying and says lame shit like,
You get soft. Pandora will shit you out dead with zero warning.
ad nauseum. He is a stalwart, bad motherfucker who does what needs to be done, no matter how many weddings he has to drone strike. He knows that the most effective way to achieve their goals is by using their technological superiority and overwhelming force. On the other side, you have Dr. Elizabeth Warren. She is on the science team. She also genuinely cares about the Blue Cat group, even as far as having a school where she would teach them English and about our rich culture before they...
The troopers pursued them to the school. They killed Sawanan in the doorway, right in front of Natiri, and then shot the others. I got most of the kids out. But they never came back.
And of course we have the center of our story, the dumbass. These people are all here for a reason, and it is to make Beth Jesus obscenely rich. With his super smart Sigma grind set, he's devised a plan where he lets the nerds science and hang with the local population, so that when diplomacy inevitably breaks down because they're gonna build a hyperloop through the natives' water reservoirs and stupid rich guy idea, they can just blame the locals as being dumb savages. So it's okay to napalm their quinceañera. So then Metal Gear Rising Revengeance happens.
Africa's just getting a bit too peaceful. Clean break from the war economy. Well, some of us like that economy.
Now, Warren and Nerd Guy have good intentions. They care about the Na'vi and want to preserve them, but they're still part of the problem. Unfortunately, there's nothing they really can do. The only reason the scientists are there is to make the locals go away peacefully while they destroy their home.
Killing the indigenous looks bad. But there's one thing that shareholders hate more than bad press, and that's a bad quarterly statement.
Look, maybe I'm reading a bit into it, but she has a fucking Stanford shirt for her avatar body and operates within a system she knows won't change anything that might interfere with line go up. Jake, however, when everything is looking the most dire, when it's clear that the humans will simply take what they want and destroy whatever they feel like, reaches the conclusion that nothing less than a militant revolutionary insurrection will stop the capitalists. It is the moment Jake Sully the Marine dies and Jake Sully the revolutionary leader is born.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Early in the movie, Jake is separated from his friends by a massive moist panther. The film's love interest, Neytiri, sees him lost and alone and justifiably decides to end his dumb life immediately, until this happens.
We've been trying to contact you regarding your cars.
For some reason, the very real deity of the Na'vi has chosen this boring-ass guy to not be murdered. So Neytiri decides not to kill him, but instead save his ass and make sure he understands how bad he is.
I just want to say thanks for killing those things.
Your fault. You don't thank for this. This is sad. Very sad only. You're like a baby, making noise, don't know what to do.
She takes him back to the World Tree Center. There, most people are like, yeah, let's kill him. But the spiritual leader of the clan says no, after having a taste of that sweet man milk.
Damn, that shit good!
God must have spared him for a reason. She orders Neytiri, her daughter, to teach Jake their ways. And then she phrases it in the most interesting way.
And we will see if your insanity can be cured.
And I really like this line. We know that they've been to human school and learned our ways and what we're all about. And their conclusion is that we are insane. Why? Well, from their perspective, we have killed everything natural on our world. Use it up completely. Humanity is living on a corpse of a planet. All this violence and destruction. And they can't even help the people who defend the system. Everyone is expendable. Everything is expendable. And what is this Goliath effort all for? So this squirmy fuck can brag about it to his friends on a golf course. That's it. That's why we did it. And now we're going to Pandora to do the same thing there. We keep doing the same thing over and over. I think maybe that's why God chose Jake Sully to not kill. Nerd Guy and Warren both seem jealous that the Na'vi chose to teach him. But it makes sense really, no? They are great people, but they are both just as indoctrinated to the system as Uncle Sam and Beth Jesus. Then there's Jake. Sure, he is a Marine, but not for any grand purpose. Only Jake is malleable enough to accept a new truth. Like a baby. Avatar is a dumb movie. The characters are cheesy, there's a bit of white savior, noble savage going on, even though Jake literally becomes an alien at the end. Like, what does that even mean? Cameron spent decades just making the technology to make this movie, and it shows. This cat looks better than everyone in Endgame. In 2009, it's a true spectacle. Why does the mech have a knife? Because it's fucking cool as fuck, that's why. Cameron didn't want to reach film nerds who spent way too much time overanalyzing dumb movies. He wanted to reach your uncle and cousin. There's this awful notion that colorful and silly movies have no inherent message and super serious movies needs to have one, and it's just not true. Movies, being a purely aesthetic medium, will always have an inherent tinge of reaction. This is the only outlet I get from my useless movie degree, okay? It's bad for showing real analysis, and good for invoking big emotion, which is why people take to the dumbest possible ideologies if their only intake is movies. A movie being serious is just another aesthetic. It does not actually mean it's better. A cartoon about a video game had more to say than every single Oscar winner this year. But James Cameron wanted to, for just a little moment, pull the everyday Joe out of their lived experience so they could see that it doesn't have to be this way. There is another way to live, a meaningful way. You just have to kill America first. And then he scooted away in a submarine or something to make a movie set the size of a city for Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the depression set in for a lot of these estranged uncles, having felt something they couldn't understand before, and then having to go back to work at Home Depot. But do not forget that the film is more than anything a message about hope. Avatar's Earth is dead, but we can live on Pandora. Our Earth is as splendid and incredible as Pandora will ever be, but we can all learn to live a life full of fulfillment and true freedom, free from alienation and materialism. We can't cure the insanity, but we can't wait, we can't falter, we can't compromise. Tweeting and telling people to vote is not enough. You must act, organize, agitate, and don't give up. Did you like the video? Sweet, because I like making it. Unfortunately, it takes 1 billion years, and I have necessities. So consider subscribing and donating to my Patreon. Then I can spend less time working and more time making this stuff, and maybe follow me on Twitch.
O nosso trabalho aqui é feito este ano.